Hi and welcome to the Adelaide Horror Podcast. It's your host Zombie Joe. Tonight it's episode 10 and I'm going to be reviewing teen horror. So I'm going to be reviewing 1996 Wes Craven's Scream. So it came out in February 97 for us in Australia, and I went to go and see it at the cinema with my best mate, and which then later on in July my birthday, and he bought me this. I still have it. It's a glow-in-the-dark Scream candle, and I cut the wick off it, but yeah, it's pretty much pride and place on my speaker near my computer since, or the many computers that have been and gone in my life since 1997. And yeah, so it's always there when I'm doing my writing. I like to look over at it, and yeah, it keeps me going. So yeah, it's kind of my first real horror prop as well that I've owned, and then I've just added as I've gone throughout the years. So yeah, it's got a special little place in my heart there. So there you go. Yeah, when Scream came out, there was a lot of hype around it. It was really building up. Neve Campbell already knew from The Craft, and I think Party of Five. She was that was kind of where we all had known her from, and yeah, it was really the beginning of the kind of the tidal wave of teen horror after that. Then it was followed by I Know What You Did Last Summer for the following year, and so that one took off as well, and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt was kind of in the front and center of everyone's mind at that point. So, and I think later on there was a HQ magazine cover that I had, and it had Screen Queens, like the modern Screen Queens. So I had Neve Campbell, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think who else? I think Courtney Cox was a part of that photo shoot too. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. It kind of spread out like a centerfold almost, and these were like the Screen Queens, of the modern day, kind of back then. So yeah, that was some of the memories that I had. I rushed out pretty much after the movie had finished. I went to the music store and hunted it down and found a copy of the CD and went out and bought it. So it was pretty expensive. It was like nearly $35 because it was new. The movie, it was a movie soundtrack, and I took it home and just played it all non-stop, and while I was writing, I always had it in the background as my theme music to kind of get me in the mood to write. And now YouTube, you can go on YouTube and you can get the full the instrumental score for Scream now. You can get all the actual songs from the different bands that were played in the movie, including Nick Cave, Red White Hand. I think that was the most spot on song to put in a movie. Bit of an Australian touch to the Scream movie as well, and yeah, and the time when they played it, it was the really perfect time. But I'll get to that as I keep going with the review. But yeah, so Scream it didn't disappoint. I still like it. I've got no qualms in pulling out and watching it again and again and again. And now that there's talk about Scream 5, yeah, it should be good. I'm gonna go check it out at the cinema. I think we can. We'll be able to watch it at the cinema. So I'm not sure about other countries and other places in the world if they're able to watch it, but there'll be kind of a streaming, and for sure Shudder would pick it up afterwards, so you'll be able to view it on Shudder as well, so that's good. Yes, so I'm gonna move into it now, and yeah, cool. So written by Ken Williamson. Now Ken Williamson at this point, we'd know him from Dawson's Creek, but he also went on to write The Faculty as well. He did Scream 2, he did I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Scream was directed by Wes Craven, so he passed away in 2015, but we'd know him from Nightmare at Elm Street, Hills Have Eyes 2, The Last House on the Left, and Serpent and the Rainbow. So that's the that's the kind of 80s movie that I want to review at one stage on Adelaide Horror Podcast. At some stage, I'll try and interweave a theme where I'll review Serpent and the Rainbow. I know the cover art for it scared the shit out of me as a kid. It spooked me. It had Bill Pullman. It wasn't actually art; it was a photo. Like, so this was some of the covers were. Most of it was illustrated, and then there was every now and then there'd be one that was a photo or a screenshot or something like that. So it was a bit more hard hitting, and especially if you're a kid. And so I remember the cardboard cutout promotional photo promotion for the Serpent and the Rainbow, and it was Bill Pullman pulling a coffin lid, and his face was all painted. And I remember reading as a kid, "Don't bury, I'm not dead," and I was like, whoa, this guy's gonna get buried alive. Holy shit, that's intense. And it kind of spooked me a bit, and then always kind of went back and wanted to see it, and eventually I did. I was in my mid-teens when another bunch of VHSs were hired, and Serpent and the Rainbow was a part of it, and I watched it and really dug it and really liked it, and kind of got into the whole kind of voodoo zombie aspect that way. I thought that kind of origin was interesting, and kind of looked into it and how it's still practiced now, and so I found that kind of fascinating. So there you go. So the budget for Scream was 14 million. Now, because you've got a popular director, you've got a popular screenwriter, so it really can't go wrong. And it has actors like Courtney Cox, and it had Neve Campbell in it, who just had come off the hype of The Craft, which did quite well as well. So of course it was going to make budget, like no problems. So all day long, it grossed 173 million globally. So yeah, I'd love that in my bank account. And the release date was the 18th of December 96, and that was in the US. So it was a winter Christmas kind of movie for those the US viewers, and 13th of February for us in Australia. So I remember it was summer when we went to go and see it, I was super stoked in checking it out, because at this point we had just finished with, like I said, The Craft, and with Tarantino's Dusk Till Dawn. So I was kind of, as an 18-year-old kind of horror nerd, it was raging hard. Like, this was kind of, it was a good time to be alive. Like, and the soundtracks and all that kind of stuff, and I was just really loving it. I thought it was really great. The runtime's an hour and 50, and like I said, there's no kind of snooze sessions in this one. Like, it pretty much starts in the opening act. It's got your attention, and pretty much goes right through to the end. And it's a classic kind of horror whodunit. And so the music score for this as well got another heavy hitting name of quite, and that's Marco Beltrami. So he's done, currently he did Underwater with Kristen Stewart, which I thought was really good, and that was actually going to be my aqua horror subject, but I went with Deep Rising because of my like for Deep Rising. But after I finished the show, I then watched Underwater, and I was like, shit, I should have done a show on that one. But I'll try and find out where I can weave it in. But it'll definitely be mentioned in the top picks for Adelaide Horror Podcast 2020, for whenever that will be, probably at the end of the year. I'll do a mention of Underwater for sure. He's also done the scores for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That was a good one I saw at the cinema. Pretty much, I think that was my last movie I saw at the cinema before the whole the Rona thing started. So yeah, there you go. Quiet Place 2018, Carrie in 2013, Mimic in 97, Scream 3 in the 2000s, and The Omen in 2006. So he's done a few scores and a lot of music for a lot of decent horror films. So he's you know, no slouches were involved in this movie whatsoever. So that was really good. So I've split the cast into two because you've got teens and you've got adults. So I've split it into the two groups. So for the teens, representing them, we've got Drew Barrymore, we've got Neve Campbell, we've got Skeet Ulrich, we've got Matthew Lillard, we've got Jamie Kennedy, and we've got Rose McGowan. So all have pretty much gone on to do bigger things or of equal level. Drew Barrymore, we all know her from E.T. Well, you know, your kind of 41-year-olds and older will know her from E.T. As kids, but the younger kids would know her from Charlie's Angels, Donnie Darko, and she also did the TV show that was quite funny on Netflix, the Sarah Clarita Diet, and that went on for a couple of seasons. That was like a 2-season TV show that was really funny. Neve Campbell did The Craft before this, but I also know her from, she did a remake also in 96 of The Canterville Ghost, which was a 70s or 80s classic. You can get it on Disney. I've got Disney Plus. You can watch it on Disney, and yeah, it's really good. And she's gone on now to do all the Screams pretty much, and so more than likely she'll be in 5 for sure. Skeet Ulrich, well, he was actually he was a thug in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 1990s, and I went, damn, I'm gonna have to go back for that one, because I was 12 going on 13 when I saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the cinema, and I wouldn't know who the hell he was, but like I read that in the autobiography for him, and I'm like, damn, I didn't know, but he still doesn't fit a thug though. That's bizarre. But anyway, so that was one of his early works. He was in The Craft, and then he's actually popped up in Riverdale recently, and he's also done some other kind of NCIS. He's done the CSI circuit, so he was in CSI New York, LA, and the Special Victims Unit, and for Law and Order. So he's done all those. He's done the TV crime show circuit. Matthew Lillard, after Scream, he went on to do 13 Ghosts, and that's another show I'm going to be reviewing. And then that was pretty much it. After that, he's done the Scooby-Doos, and he's done TV series and TV movies. That's pretty much where he's at the moment. Jamie Kennedy, we know him from 96 from Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. That was one movie I saw at the cinema. I think I was on a date, and I was wondering why the hell I was just watching Romeo and Juliet, but you know, I was obviously trying to win the affections of this lady, and well, she ain't here, and I don't really remember the Romeo and Juliet, so obviously that was a teen pursuit that didn't succeed. Scream 2 and 3 he was in as well, and he's also popped up in a lot of other TV movies and TV shows as well since then to now. Rose McGowan, she first popped up in Encino Man in 92. I had to go back and check that out. I don't even remember her in Encino Man. She was in Jawbreaker, and then we all pretty much solidly know her from Charmed, the TV show. That was really good. I like that show. And Charmed was kind of the TV's answer to the movie, The Craft, and right down to the song as well, the 80s song. The Grindhouse, and then she was in Grindhouse, Planet Terror, and Planet Death Proof as well. So, and that's that. We'll move on to the adults. So you have Courtney Cox, and she first popped up on everyone's kind of radar in '84. She was in the Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark film clip. I had to go and hunt that one down because I was too little to remember that. I was like 5, but I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, lo and behold, she gets pulled up out of the crowd, and I'm like, damn, like she hasn't aged that bad. Like she's done quite well. Done the Love Boat circuit in '86. Murder, She Wrote, gotta love that as well. Family Ties. You know, I was reading these out and I went, watching the Love Boat at Grandma's house, and watching Murder, She Wrote with Mum, and then I was like, Family Ties after school. I was like, geez, that was some some epic flashbacks to my childhood, which I thought was pretty cool. Ace Ventura in '94. She did Friends '94 to 2004, so that was pretty decent, and that's why Friends the TV show is awesome. And also popped up in Scrubs as well, and then did all the Screams 2, 3, 4, and probably 5. No doubt about it. W. Earl Brown, he plays the cameraman for Gail Weathers, which is Courtney Cox's character, and you'd see him in Preacher, but I know him from Deadwood because that's where I saw him, and he was also in True Detectives, but I never really watched True Detective. But not that I didn't want to, I just never got around to it. So that's kind of put True Detective back on my radar. So I'll be making a note of that and checking that out later. David Arquette from the Arquette family. So we've got all the Screams, Eight-Legged Freaks, Creep Show in 2019, and the TV show and other TV shows and TV movies as well. Joseph Witt, who plays the sheriff, is the older guy. Now, he's pretty much always played cops or sheriffs. He was in T.J. Hooker, he was in The Dukes of Hazzard, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984 as cop. And he was in Cheers in '86. I don't know as a cop, but don't know. But he was in '86. But he was the sheriff in 21 Jump Street in 1988. So he crossed paths a few times with Johnny Depp in '84 on Elm Street, and in goes to work with him on the TV show on 21 Jump Street. So there you go. Liev Schreiber, he's Cotton Weary, which is the fucking weirdest name. I don't know. That's that I've heard. I still hear it and I go, what is with that name? Scream 2 and 3. He was also in The Omen, the remake of The Omen in 2016. So I couldn't remember him in that, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out later on. So pretty much he has no speaking role in this whatsoever, and even when you do see him, it's in a video. Like it's just a footage thing of him sitting in the back of a police car, and off he goes. So I was interested to know how much he got paid to do that, if that was a paying role. Linda Blair. Now this is where you get the cameos, right? And this is why I'm like, the Scream cameos are really clever, right? Now, Linda Blair pops up twice in this as a cameo, and I didn't notice her. And it wasn't until when I was going through, doing the research for the movies, and Linda Blair, and I went, what the fuck? Where was she? And I looked in the thing, sure enough, twice, deliberately put in there twice. So obviously the hardcore horror dudes and dudettes would see Linda Blair straight away. This Mr. Potato Head didn't see it whatsoever, and then I was looking at it and went, holy shit, that's pretty good. So there you go. She's the one of the camera women. She was one of the anchors in the thing. So Neve Campbell passes her a few times while she's doing a story, but they deliberately zoom in on her. And in one thing, she's got the brightest 90s massive padded jacket that I've ever seen. And in the next one, she's in the zebra printed jacket. So stands out like anything, like a sore thumb. I'm not going to use the other one that you could use, but yeah, sticks out like a sore thumb. And this guy, you know, got a potato head, misses it. So, oh well, what are you going to do? But I was really impressed that she was in there. I was like, how cool was that? Like, that's pretty good. Wes Craven himself does a cameo. I'm not going to say when and how he does it, but he does a cameo, and it's also a cameo of one of his characters as well. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So that was pretty funny. And then not really a cameo, but like it was Wet Henry Winkler, the old Fonzie himself. So 74 to 84, we know him as Fonzie from Happy Days, Waterboy in 94, and Little Nicky in 2000, and other TV shows, heaps of TV shows and heaps of TV movies, and he does little roles here and there. So that's pretty good with that. So I'll get on to the kind of the run through of the movie, not too long, and then I'll just wrap it up. So pretty much Woodsboro is the town that the show is started off with, and we've got a pretty much this is the nod, two nods to I Know What You When a Stranger Calls, which was the last, which was the 79 horror episode that I covered, and I mentioned that Scream does two nods to this movie. And the first sequence when she's getting the phone calls, that's the first nod to I Know What You When a Stranger Calls. And the second one is when Neve Campbell is then attacked by Ghostface in the house, and she's running up the stairs and running down the stairs, and then opens the front door, and Dewey's standing there with the ghost mask, and she comes face to face with it. So it's like she's opened the door and Ghostface is there, and she screams, and that's what happens in the start of When a Stranger Calls. So the phone kind of dialogue between the voice on the phone and Drew Barrymore's character is a bit longer than When a Stranger Calls. In the movie When a Stranger Calls, basically it's him saying, "Have you checked the children?" and then hangs up, and she's a babysitter. And in this case, in this scenario, Drew Barrymore's character isn't babysitting anyone. She's just making popcorn, about to watch a movie, as she exposes in this phone call, and then basically it's on from there. So it gets more sinister. This is a 20-minute dialogue going on in the start of the movie. So like I said, Scream pretty much kicks off straight away. Like, it doesn't build up. It's just, it's already happened. You've already got one of the most intense murder scenes out of the whole entire film in the first 20 minutes. Like, so you're thinking, holy shit, like, what did she do to cop that? Like, yeah, it's pretty full on. And so then once that happens, then we get introduced to Neve Campbell and Skeet Ulrich, and then we get introduced to the other teens the next morning when she's going to school, and they find out that the girl had been murdered with a football boyfriend, and it's kind of starts from there, and there's this kind of whodunit kind of thing, but it bounces between two characters, and you're thinking, who is it? Is it them? Is it them? And then there's another character that's then introduced as a possible character, and then there's another one as well. Like, so I'm not going to say who these are. So really, by the midpoint to the end of this film, as it's getting to the business end of Scream, you've got literally 4 to 5 suspects, and they do a good job in throwing the scent off 2 of them. But if you know, even in the cinema back then, I was thinking, nah, there's something not off. There's something off. Like, I couldn't shake it. And so yeah, I don't know. Maybe all those years of watching Murder, She Wrote with Mum as a kid kind of paid off. So yeah, that was the kind of the gist of Scream. You've got the kind of the the other interesting things that I liked about this movie as well is like Gail puts in like this camcorder and there's like this 30-second delay thing, so that kind of builds tension that way, because when the guy's watching the house and then Ghostface is running around, he actually sees Ghostface and then he kind of freaks out and then goes, oh my god, 30-second delay, like, and that kind of added a new level of kind of tension that we couldn't through technology at the time. Like, that technology at the time was kind of like, well, okay, that was pretty hasn't really been done before. It was pretty edgy. That's why I really admired it back then as well. I thought it was pretty good. Still holds up now. Like, you can't watch Scream and go, oh, it's a crap movie because it doesn't hold up. It still holds up, like, quite easily. It holds up. It still have your attention. Would I say this is a good first-time horror film? I reckon it's an M15 plus. Look, for sure, this would be one that you would have if you had a sleepover. This would be the movie you'd whack on. Like, if you have a couple of friends together, Scream would come out for sure. Like, absolutely, I could see this as a sleepover kind of type of movie. Is it? Oh, look, it is gory in some bits. That's kind of, I think, parental discretion on that one. But yeah, look, it carries an M15 plus kind of tag on it. So if you want to show your 12-year-old this movie, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you're a bit older and you're not really sure, you know, like a real scary version of a whodunit, Scream would be the way to go on that one. So it's like I said, it's ticked all the boxes. I mean, it still holds up now. There's a massive fan base for it. I still like it, and I've seen it countless times. And like I said, I've got no dramas. If I'm over somewhere and someone's watching it, or you know, I feel like watching it again now, like after talking about it, but seeing all the different ones as well, that would be pretty good. In the scheme of it, like all the Screams, I actually liked. Like I took them for what they were doing. You know, some were a bit hit and miss, but not enough for me to rage quit and hate the whole series. Like, you just kind of, you take, some were good and some were bad. It's like majority of the horror franchises. They couldn't really, you can't really get all these horror movies in a franchise and say number 1 to number 5, all of them were the best. It just depends on the directing and the acting and how the screenplay went. Some are higher, some are lower, but you still love them all the same. They're kind of your kids. You can't help it. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a slow pace, a fast paced. It's not a slow burn, which is good. It's got your attention from start to end. Decent music, decent thrills and chills. The heebie-jeebie factor is up there as well. So you're gonna enjoy it. And yeah, so first time horror film for, I'd say, someone over 15, absolutely. But anything a bit younger than that, yeah, I'd tell them to wait. Yeah, cool. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed the review for Scream. I'm going to be next episode is going to be a zombie bite episode, so stay tuned for that one. And yeah.